I challenge you to a duel.
Hello and welcome to the Movie Duel podcast. My name is Peter and I'm your host. On each episode of the Movie Duel podcast, we select a subject based around movies, and then myself, one of my co-hosts, each pick a film that we think best fits that subject. Only rule being, you can't pick a film that has already been discussed on the podcast. However, this is one of our special quick draw episodes in which I invite on a special guest to talk about the movie duels of past, get their thoughts on the selections that we made, and maybe make a choice of their own. This time around, I'm joined by the amazing Tia from the Alien Effect podcast, brand new podcast that has featured some exceptional special guests already, including yours truly, and lots of friends of the podcast as well, the guys from Creative Psychopaths, Warren Budensky, and quite recently Ben from Filmbusters as well. So I would encourage you to go and check out Tia's work over at the Alien Effect. It is a phenomenal podcast all about obsessions with pieces of media, and it was an absolute joy to listen to and to be part of as well, so go and check it out. So just a little bit of a reminder about how you can get in touch with us here at the Movie Duel podcast. You can find the links to all our social medias in the show notes for this episode, as well as the links to Tia's work as well. And a word of warning about this episode, there is some strong language and there may be some minor spoilers for some of the films that we discuss as well. But I very much hope you enjoy Quick Draw with Tia.
Don't you know a kid always wins against two idiots?
Hey!
Okay, so my guest this time around is a host of a brand new podcast called The Alien Effect. So please welcome to the Movie Duel podcast, the wonderful Tia. Hello. Tia.
I went early on the hello.
That's all right.
Excited.
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. I was just telling you I'm recovering from a cold, so might sound a bit husky, but I did manage to watch a lot of films in my week off. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
For this podcast, or
you would think, wouldn't you? there were a few new ones that had long been on my list. Some for this podcast, but yeah, then there was a lot of just comfort rewatching.
I love a bit of a comfort rewatch.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So first and foremost, then, Tia, just tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the Alien Effect.
Tell us about yourself just instantly switches on my interview fear brain, and I'm going to gloss over that straight away and just talk about the podcast.
That's fair enough.
So, despite the name and the artwork, the Alien Effect is an entertainment podcast that has nothing to do with aliens. As I describe it, it has nothing to do with aliens and everything to do with the feeling you get when you love a piece of entertainment so much you think the feeling might burst out of your chest, like in Alien. So I'm a neurodivergent person, so I feel this way about pieces of entertainment quite regularly. So I get really obsessed over things.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted a space to celebrate that and hear about what other people love to obsess over and get excited about. So yeah, each episode I have a guest on and ask them a few questions around, the first thing they might have been obsessed about, their current obsession, and they can bring something with them, like a main thing to talk about as well. And they also get to recommend me something that goes into a drawer. And if I pick it, then I have to watch or read or listen to whatever that is and then cover it on a bonus episode. So actually encourages me to work through the never-ending list as well. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far.
It has. I mean, I've listened to it from the start pretty much. And obviously, your first couple of guests were friends of the podcast, Mark and Matthew from the Creative Psychopaths podcast. And by the time this episode goes out, will have been on it as well. Was-
Yes, absolutely. Yes, your episode is out tomorrow as we're
Oh
recording.
wow, okay,
Um,
fantastic.
yes, so that's very exciting.
And it is great. I mean, like I said to you when we were recording, just learning about people's sort of obsessions and what they've just what they've obsessively consumed within the entertainment world is just
Yeah,
it's just such an endearing podcast, and I've enjoyed every episode I've listened to,
thank you. Much appreciated.
and I very
Yeah,
much enjoyed me coming on as well, even though I probably
yes.
talked the hind legs off the
No,
proverbial
we had
donkey.
it. It was. I was very relieved because in my head I'd talked over you for the whole thing, and it wasn't too bad when I listened back to it in terms of me interrupting. But yeah, no, we had a great chat. I thought I had a lot of fun. Um,
Fantastic.
and yeah, it's been a lot of fun to do and to meet people, and um, I I'm a late diagnosed autistic and ADHD person, so I'm still sort of getting to grips with being not just being comfortable with that, but celebrating that. So
Hmm.
the podcast's a really nice way for me to be my full weird geeky self and take joy in that. So it's lovely.
And long may
So
it continue.
thank you. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the ADHD finds a new focus. Um, but yeah, I am looking for guests, so people can find me on social media, or specifically Instagram, and I've just got Twitter or X, not on Facebook, but yeah, those two you can find me, and you can email me as well, at thealieneffectpod@gmail.com, and should be available on all major streaming platforms to listen to.
Fantastic. And I would encourage everybody to go and check it out because it is fantastic. Um, but in terms of movies, then, what's your relationship like with film? Are you a big film fan and watch a lot of movies?
Yeah, yeah, film's my absolute passion in life.
Fantastic.
Just it's the only thing that switches my brain off, which
Wow.
you know,
Yeah, I think I'm the same actually.
yeah, and it's I don't know how to unpick who I am and so much of my identity from film,
Mm,
and the relationships I have with the people in my life as well through film. It's just my absolute favorite thing to do in the world, to
fantastic.
watch film, talk about film, and um, learn about film as well. I in a dream life, I would be doing filmmaking, and I know could just actually go and do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously,
that's the thing, isn't it? You sort of think, oh, I'd love to do that, or I'd love to have a go at that. And this day and age with the technology that we've got, even as simple as making something with a smartphone, it could be done, or even a Zoom. Look at a film like Host. I don't know if you saw that, the
yeah,
pandemic horror film. You could do it. We could do it right now.
yeah, let's do it. I actually have an idea for a film
Oh, right,
around
okay.
podcasting, but I won't go into that now
Oh,
because
okay,
you're already
fantastic.
going to struggle to keep me on track, I'm sure. But yeah,
That's very intriguing. I'm gonna have to go ask you
yeah,
about that when we
we'll
finish.
circle back. We'll circle back. But
Uh,
yeah, it's what lights me up inside for sure.
Fantastic. And do you have a favorite sort of genre of film?
I like a few different things, but I'd say rom-coms for sure. Like that's probably what I've seen the most of. But I also really love action, adventure, fantasy. Basically, The Princess Bride, which may come up again later. But
Very
yeah,
good. Just
anything
circling
like
through
that
your
really.
subjects now, seeing which one that might come. Ah, yes, yeah. Ah,
Yeah.
well, that's cool.
Um, so yeah, those kind of genres probably my favorites. Also, I'm a sucker for a coming of age film as well. I love
Ah, yes,
that.
yes. My original co-host Liam, he loves a good coming of age film.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, but like that, I mean, there's also, like most people, I'm sure, a variety of genres, but those would be my go-tos.
Fantastic. Have you seen? I think it's on BBC iPlayer. Have you seen a film called Licorice Pizza?
Yes, yeah, I have. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
I love that film. I loved it.
Yeah,
One of my
yeah,
favourite films of the year before last, I think it came out.
yeah, yeah. I had a
Um,
lot of fun with it. Yeah.
but now I'm taking us off in directions.
That's
Uh,
fine. That's my power.
yes, maybe I'm some kind of empath, maybe or something. Yeah. So you're here to take part in one of our quick draw episodes. So this is where we invite on a very special guest to delve into the movie jewels of past, and we're going to give Tia some of the subjects that we've discussed on the podcast, get her thoughts maybe on the films that we chose, and get her to pick a film of her own that she would have thrown into the mix. So Tia, are you ready?
As I'll ever be.
So we're going to start at the very top, where we start everybody with episode one, and the most underrated sequel ever. In this episode, myself and original co-host Liam talked about his choice of Gremlins 2, The New Batch from 1990, and my choice of Predator 2 from 1990 as well. So, do you have any thoughts on our choices? Are they films that you've seen?
Oh, it will probably not surprise you that I haven't seen either of them. I'm very sorry to say it. I've seen the originals of both.
All right,
Um,
okay.
I might have seen Gremlins 2 when I was younger. It would have been something my brothers were watching. They were 80s kids and me and my sister were 90s kids, so I've got their influence in a lot of things. But
Ooh, 90s kids.
yeah. But yeah, my brothers made sure to show us a lot of films, but for some reason this is one that passed me by. It's on the list, you know. We all have the
Yeah,
list, but
all of the list. Yeah, fantastic.
unfortunately,
So what would you have gone for in this subject? What do you think is the most underrated sequel ever?
um, I really struggled with this one actually. I had to look up quite a few, but one of the ones that I don't know if you would count it as underrated, but the score on Rotten Tomatoes was surprisingly low to me.
Okay.
And that's Home Alone 2.
Oh,
Um,
right. Okay.
and that is, speaking of my siblings, that like Home Alone is, our ultimate family film. Um, we have it on every Christmas,
Yeah.
and you know, sometimes Christmas is the only time we all see each other together in a year, and it's definitely like a strong part of our bond having those films on. Um, I definitely think, the first one's stronger, as is the case for a lot of films, but the sequel's fantastic. I genuinely can't believe people don't love it more than they do. It's got some absolutely brilliant quotes, "Suck brick, kid" being my my favorite. Um,
Yeah.
and I hope your parents buy you a tombstone for Christmas. Um, and obviously, like it goes way over the top with the violence to the point where Marv
Mm,
is literally electrocuted to a skeleton. But it's just so much
love it.
fun.
And my
Um,
personal favorite line from that film is, "Wow, what a hole."
what a hole! I love that. Such a good delivery. Absolutely fantastic. Oh my God, I'd
Oh,
forgotten about that
perfect. And
line.
I think I mean I suppose there's a little bit of an angle that you could say it's very close to the original, in terms of the beats of the plot and everything else. But I'm with you. I think it probably is underrated, especially if it's got a lower. I think it's on par with the first one, and I think
Yeah.
it's definitely more Christmassy.
Yes, yeah, I think it does fall into that trap. Like I think if taking away the nostalgia, if I was being critical of a sequel, if it did the same, if it was a blueprint essentially of
Hmm.
its original film, I probably would hold that against it. But I just love this too much to do that. And yeah, there's definitely some real magic to it. I think the idea of being alone in New York and having the plaza to yourself, and just ordering room service. It's just brilliant. Like much more fun than actually being at home on
Oh,
yourself by
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Uh, and going to
absolutely.
that Duncan's toy store, which is just magical.
It
Um,
looks magical, but the toys look shit in that
yeah,
shop. They look
turtle
terrible.
doves.
Turtle doves, yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's a good shout though.
yeah, yeah, I love it. It's I won't hear a bad word against it. So
No, no. And
it felt like a good pick.
you've got Tim Curry in there as well. It's
Exactly,
always
which
a
always
welcome.
elevates a film
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
magnificently. And that, yeah, that great scene when he's playing the recording like he does in the first one, and he's got, "You've been smooching with everybody, little Mo
Cliff,
with the gimpy leg."
it's a lie. Love it.
Oh,
Very
it's
good
so
choice.
good.
Very good choice.
Thank you.
Um, but we shall move on because
Hmm.
we're just going to end up quoting Home
Yeah,
Alone 2 for the next hour
yeah,
because there's more. There's easily
yeah.
more quotes out of that film.
Endless.
Not to mention, I'm gonna go to it, but like "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal." Everybody
Of
says that.
course,
It's
of
on every
course.
T-shirt,
It is
everything.
iconic.
Iconic. Okay, so we're moving on to episode 3, which is still with original co-host Liam, and we talked about our choices for the most overrated Best Picture winner, with Liam's choice of Titanic from 1997, and my choice of Braveheart from 1995.
Yeah. So I've not seen Braveheart.
Okay.
Um, Titanic is one of my favorite films, and I will die on a hill for it, or
You
on a
that
door.
there's so many people that say that.
Yeah, I I genuinely just adore it. Like, I guess, it came out at the right time for me. I've already said I'm a big rom-com lover, and it's actually, I think, one of the early films that got me, along with Spielberg's works, but got me very interested in cinema,
Oh wow.
because I think the filmmaking was just gorgeous.
Mm,
And for me, the my main love of it is the performances. They just absolutely blow me away every time.
okay.
Um, just so convinced of their love. I love it. But
I'm going to remain silent.
yeah, no, do you know what? Fair enough. But what I will say is, as much as I love it, looking at the fact it was against Goodwill Hunting, like brutal. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
that is a
yeah.
phenomenal film. Like, so I completely. I mean, I'm guessing you don't like it anyway, but I can understand why it would be in this category. Um,
Okay. So what say you? What would you have picked for this subject?
so for me, it's got to be Birdman, which I think was it
Hmm,
2014? If I'm
around that
remembering
time, I think. Yeah, yeah,
correctly.
yeah, yeah.
I had this up earlier. Um, I sometimes I will watch a film and not like it, and I have to go back and watch it, and I'll change my mind. So maybe this is one of those, but my memory of it is that it didn't get any enjoyment out of it, didn't make much of an impression, and I didn't understand it at all. It just did absolutely nothing for me. So I was
Yeah.
genuinely shocked when I saw that it won, particularly against. I mean, there were some great films again in the category that year. Um, Notably for me, Grand Budapest Hotel, which
All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
favorite Wes Anderson, although I haven't seen that many of them. But more importantly, Whiplash, which
yeah.
is just again absolutely incredible film. It's a film I think about all the time. Like
Yes.
it,
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen Birdman, to be honest. I
mm.
think the runtime is scaring me. It's fairly long. Um, but yeah, it's on my ever-growing watch list, Birdman. But yeah, Whiplash
Yeah.
I was very close to talking about Whiplash when I came to your podcast
Oh
because
wow.
I mean I only saw it probably 4 years ago,
Yeah.
and I've watched that film at least 20 times.
Wow.
It's become a comfort film for me because it is just
Yeah. Yeah.
spectacular.
It is spectacular. And I've actually only seen it once. I think I saw it 4 or 5 years ago as well.
Mm,
It was a while ago, but like I said, it's just stayed with me so much, and it was such a uncomfortable watch the
yeah.
first time, but I couldn't look away, and yeah, it's just I think about it all the time.
And
Um,
I still can't get my head around the ending. I still
I
can't.
know.
I
I
still,
want that's one of those. I'm just going to load up YouTube and watch that scene kind of
yeah. Yeah,
bits.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's
Yeah,
just, I can just think about it during the day and it's like, oh, it's, he won. But then like, the
yeah,
next day I'll think, no, he didn't win because he won. And it's like,
yeah,
or, but there's no right or wrong answer. And I think I like a film that's, unambiguous in the ending, but I don't think there's another film that is so unambiguous because it's like, I just can't make my mind up about what it means.
I know. Yeah, it's when you can walk away from that film and think, actually, like there's an element of him being in the right, and that's the price you have to pay for greatness to that level. Like
Yeah.
that film's done an incredible job because really you should be walking away going, you know,
Mm,
it is abuse, and you do feel all those things,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but you see his side
Mm,
for sure, and the payoff of it is just gorgeous.
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a tragedy that that didn't win, and particularly against Birdman, which did nothing for me. So
Fair
yeah.
enough. Fair enough.
Hmm.
Okay, so next up we've got episode 10, which was entitled Failed Nostalgia, or Films That We Used to Love But Not Anymore. With Nicole choosing 1997's Face Off, and I chose Batman Forever from 1995.
Not seen Face Off.
Okay.
Seen Batman Forever. It has been many years, but I only have fond memories of it. So um, yeah, I'm sure I would, you know, have some failed nostalgia, but nah, don't know.
Okay. I
It's
mean,
charming. I love it.
I'm not a fan of Face Off, but it definitely needs to go on your list because it's got to be
Uh,
I think it has got to be seen.
okay. Good to know. I'll
Especially if you like action films. It's very
yeah,
high on action. But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'll try and catch a cold again so I can have some more time off work.
Okay, so what film have you sort of watched lately and hasn't sort of held up for you?
Recently, I've done a Twilight rewatch with my friends, and my God, like I knew they were bad at the time, but and I was a teenager when these came out, so I was in the main hype of it. But um, it's not even how bad they are; it's how fucking toxic they are. Like,
Mm,
Jesus Christ, and how romanticized the toxicity is.
mm,
And this is difficult for me to say because I do still love them. I still hold a lot of love for them, but yeah, it's hard to rewatch and remember that I that my views of what relationships should be were sort of based around
yeah,
films like this at the time.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
I mean,
painful.
I remember having that feeling about it because I mean, I never watched them of my own volition. My partner at the time, when they all sort of came out, had read the books and she wanted to watch the films.
Yeah.
So, being the good partner that I was at the time, I watched them with her, and it's just like I just wanted to throw up, basically,
Yeah, it's
um,
horrible.
all the way through.
Yeah,
Just it was just so like over romanticized and
yeah,
just yeah, like you say, the toxicity in in those films is
yeah. Dreadful. And obviously like just really bad films as well. Like I mean,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
um there's parts of it are quite iconic now, and you've got all the sort of wave of millennial nostalgia, it's quite sort of current at the moment. So they're referenced a lot, and I still always love them. Like some teenage part of me will love them to a degree. But yeah, it's dreadful. It's been quite painful to rewatch them actually.
yeah.
But
There's five films as well in it.
yeah, yeah. Christ.
Yeah, that's not good.
Um,
It's bad
but
enough
one
watching the Star Wars prequels.
oh God. Yeah, yeah. I was going to say another film I was just going to mention, but it's been a while since I've rewatched it. But when I did, like this was the one that came to mind first. Man with the Iron Mask. Have you ever seen that?
Oh God, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when I was younger, me and my mum used to watch it all the time, and I loved Leonardo DiCaprio. So I guess, that was a strong part of it. But I just remember adoring it. It was one of my favorite films as a kid. And then a few years ago, I said to my husband, "It's like, oh, can we watch this? It was
Mm,
one of my favorites. It's great." And
yeah,
yeah, it wasn't long in before I realized that it was a fucking dreadful film. I felt so bad. It's like,
but
I'm sorry,
it is.
sorry.
That's when DiCaprio was still
Yes, yeah, yeah,
annoying
yeah.
pretty boy in the
Yes,
90s.
yes.
Yeah, but what was the song that was with that?
Um,
I could be wrong, or maybe I'm thinking of the Three Musketeers. Uh,
Maybe because obviously
All
it
for
is the
One.
Musketeer movie.
Oh no, there wasn't a song with it. That's a bit of a letdown. I must be thinking of that. I think it's Brian Adams and was it Rod Stewart and Sting or somebody did All for One?
It's like could
Yeah.
be a mum's dream
Yeah, it's
mashup.
Housewife's wet dream, that one.
Yeah, yeah. But
That must be what I'm thinking of.
must be. But no, it's a terrible film. It had Jeremy Irons in as well, so you'd
Yeah,
think
well, I
it
had a
was going
stack.
to hold up.
Jeremy Irons, John Malkovich,
Yeah.
um, Oliver Platt. Do I want to say Oliver Platt?
Oh,
Was he the third one?
that does
No,
sound vaguely.
Gerard, oh, I can never say his fucking name. Gerard Depardieu
I'm not sure.
and Gabriel Byrne, I think it was.
Mhm.
No, Oliver
Okay.
Platt was in Three Musketeers.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to get them confused being Musketeer movies, but yeah, yeah, just terrible. Definitely a failed nostalgia.
Yeah, so next up we've got episode 15, which was myself and Sarquin talking about the worst prequel ever, with his monumental choice of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom from 1983, and my choice, my much more sensible choice of The Exorcist: The Beginning from 2004.
Okay. Well, hopefully you won't be cross at me for this.
Okay.
Right, if you'd asked me this pre last Christmas, I would say I would never say Indiana Jones. But I think Indiana Jones is the right answer. I think Temple of Doom is the right
What?
answer.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sorry. So I love the Indiana Jones films. I loved them as a kid. Used to watch them all the time. Have so much nostalgia for them. And when Crystal Skull came out, I was fucking furious and nearly walked out the cinema at the aliens and then same with Dial of Destiny. I was like, this is bullshit. Like I was like, it's complete. I was talking to Matthew actually, but I thought this is completely wrong. It doesn't science doesn't belong like in these films. It needs to be like ridiculous magic shit.
Yeah.
Um, and Matthew said like, the originals were kind of, you know, like not necessarily any less ridiculous. And I was like, no, 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 tonally it makes sense. It makes sense. So last Christmas, my husband and I were like, right, let's do a rewatch of all of them because he hadn't seen Crystal Skull or Dial of Destiny. And we got to Temple of Doom. And it was fucking painful. It's so bad. It's so bad. I honestly, the only thing I liked about it was Short Round, which is normally what puts people off. But I love Ki Hoi Kwan, so um,
Dear,
yeah.
oh dear.
I know. I'm sorry. I want us to be friends, Peter, but you just have to bear with me on this. It was just dreadful. Like I can't even remember her name, but that female character may as well have just been a fucking I don't know jar of dirt. Like she's just doing fucking nothing. It's like one of the worst female characters I've seen on screen.
Oh
Period.
dear, oh dear.
Um, horrible, absolutely horrible, and just dreadful plot, painfully long. Just really, really quite
Stop,
awful.
stop.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It pains me to say it.
No, I mean to be fair, and I think we did talk about it on the episode. I can see why people maybe don't like it, and I can recognize those points, but maybe I just overlooked them a bit more. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I'll probably go back and be like, oh no, it's fine because I know what I'm expecting now. But it was a shock. Um, and I will say like the setting and the you know the exciting tomb and artifact kind of
Mm.
stuff, all of that fun Indiana Jones stuff was great. Like I'll always have a lot of a love for that. But
Well,
just
I mean, the question here really is, have you seen Exorcist: The Beginning?
oh no, I forgot to mention I haven't. No.
Oh, well, there we go. You need that's another one for your watch list, and then you
All
might
right.
agree with me on that one.
I only saw the original Exorcist a couple of months ago when it was on the cinema. So
Wow.
yeah, don't worry, I fucking loved that.
Yeah, too right.
Yeah,
Two would fall out.
I wouldn't have
Um,
even bothered to show my face if I didn't.
so is your answer Indiana Jones and Temple of
It's
Doom
Indiana
then?
Jones. Yeah,
Wow,
I'm
okay.
sorry to say it.
Not even
And
going to offer anything else up.
I think the only thing that came to mind is technically part of it's a sequel to a prequel, and that was the second Fantastic Beasts film, which is fucking dog shit. And
All right, yeah, I get you, yeah,
made me
yeah.
incredibly angry, but I didn't think it really counted because it was a technically a
I
sequel.
still haven't watched any of those. I've got no interest in them at
The
all.
first one was actually a lot of fun.
Right.
Obviously, as we said on my podcast as well, just sidestepping J.K. Rowling being a terrible human being for a minute.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, the first one's a lot of fun. It does that the the good thing where it like Mandalorian did in the first two series, where like we're just gonna like use this world, but not keep shoving all the old stuff down your
Right.
throats and try and mess with the law. And then the second one just like, wow, it's just ridiculous. They had this character from the first one that they were like, oh yeah, by the way, he's Dumbledore's brother or whatever. Oh, it's just some absolute bullshit. It made me so angry, and it was also just an offensively bad film in terms of like trying to cram five plots into one and terrible
Wow.
pacing and just very painful to watch.
Oh dear. Oh
Yeah.
dear. They never do well with these big blockbuster prequels, do they? I mean,
No.
it's like The Hobbit. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
they just try to recreate and over swell it.
That's it. And
And
actually, just keep it simple and you can use the world and actually make original stuff in it and people will enjoy that. But
ooh,
just don't go
just
don't
stop it.
yeah, don't do Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. No, right, we'll stop there because we
Yeah,
are going to
stop
go
there.
off on even more of a tangent then. And that, Rise of Skywalker is, has often come up on this podcast, and
Hmm.
especially the QuickDraw episodes. So, episode 17, the best film based on a toy line. So, in this episode, I talked about my choice of Masters of the Universe from 1987 and Vanessa's choice of Clue from 1985.
It's my favorite catchphrase, Peter. I haven't seen either of these films. Um,
Fair
Clue
enough.
sounds like something I'd really enjoy, so
Yes,
I'm
Clue is
very keen
fantastic.
to
Fantastic.
watch it. Um,
And it's Tim Curry as well. So there
of
you
course, exactly. That's honestly the only selling point I need. Um,
go.
yeah.
Okay.
So I haven't seen either of those. Mars Attacks definitely came to mind as an option, as did and this is a bit surprising, but Trolls, the movie that came out a few years ago.
Wow. Oh, yeah, of
And
course. Yeah, yeah.
that was specifically because essentially my mum, she's okay now, but she was in hospital at the time, like really quite critically ill,
All
and
right.
we were all staying at my brother's house, and my nephew was a baby then, and we just had that on for him, but it was like just pure soothing, like
Yeah,
sensory joy because it was just all colourful and nice music, and we just had it on repeat like for weeks because it was all we could
yeah.
cope with. So I have a lot of love for that, but ultimately I have to say Barbie, of course.
Wow.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It's the first
um,
time it's come up that actually. But
yeah, I am still in complete awe of that film. It had no right to achieve what it did. Um,
mm,
it
absolutely.
was an insane feat of filmmaking to pack everything in. That I love Greta Gerwig anyway, but yeah, I just absolutely adored it in every single aspect of it, and it was one
Hmm.
of those films that altered my brain chemistry. You know, I
Yeah.
just connected with it on such a deep level, and made me laugh continuously, made me cry like so much, and yeah, made me feel just so seen, and um, I just have all of the love in the world for it.
Mm. It's
So
like you
yeah.
say, I don't, that hearing that sort of concept, and I know when it was announced that they were doing a Barbie film,
Mm,
and just being completely nonplussed about it and thinking, well, it's it's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be a Barbie film, but it had no right to be as deep
yeah,
and meaningful as it did because
yeah,
it was just incredible. I remember watching it with my kids. I mean, my son was, he's a lot younger, so he didn't really get anything from it other than there was lots of pink stuff and
yeah,
bright colours and things like that. But my daughter didn't quite sort of get it. She was probably just a little bit too young for it, but I was just in awe of it. I was just
mm,
like, this is crazy.
yeah.
This is not, this is just not what I expected at all.
No, it's
But
mind
it was just
blowing.
so brilliant. And Ryan Gosling I don't know how many times I've watched his performance at the Oscars. I just keep, every time it sort of pops up as suggested watch on YouTube, I'm like, oh, just gonna watch that again.
Yeah, he was phenomenal in that film, and absolutely loved him. But I don't find many people who agree with me on this, but it was Margot Robbie that just stole the show for me, and I think it's
Yeah.
quite in a lot of scenes an understated performance, but
Yes.
what she does with her face acting in that film
Yeah. Agreed.
is so powerful.
Mm,
And America Ferrera, who I'm a huge fan of as well, like, her speech was obviously the famous one, and that's incredible.
mm,
Um, but there were certain scenes from Margot Robbie that were just, yeah, the ones that
yeah.
really stay with me.
And I
Um,
mean, just for a film about Barbie
mm,
and what you'd expect from that, just the sheer amount of different people that film talks to.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody. It's not like, there was obviously a lot of talk about it being an ultra feminist movie, and some
yeah.
people took that from it. And I'd sort of heard that before I watched it, and I didn't get any of that. I mean, it was
No, the opposite of that.
it's yeah, but it speaks to it. It speaks on such a sensible level about
Mm,
patriarchy and and just your sort of place in people's place in the world and
mm,
where
yeah,
they sort of see themselves or don't see themselves. It was just incredible.
it
And I
was.
thought the same, I thought Oppenheimer,
Yeah,
obviously we had the Barbenheimer kind of thing, and I thought that they were very much on par. And I thought they were both films that I didn't expect to get out of them what I did
yeah. Yeah,
because
absolutely. And both ultimately about humanity. Oddly,
yeah,
you wouldn't think would be.
yeah, it was an
Um,
incredible sort of feat of cinema, really.
it was a
So
great time to be a film fan.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But
yeah.
yeah, good choice, good choice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, we'll just take a short break, and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, so welcome to the intermission. So this is the part of the episode in which I ask my guest a random question, a question that they've not prepared for, and get their honest first answer. So, Tia, are you ready for your intermission question?
Not at all, but go for it.
Well, I had three or four, and you've sort of touched on one anyway, so
Okay.
I won't ask you that one. But I try to sort of tie it into the guest. So, what is the best movie? Alien.
Do you know what? I knew you were going to ask me this. I thought, if I were Peter, what would I ask me? Um, mm, this is tough. Obviously, E.T. comes to mind pretty quickly. Um, I know it's not a movie. Technically, there is a Doctor Who movie, so I, could cheat with that.
Yeah. Well, you could. Yeah, you've got the Peter
Mm,
Cushing Doctor
yeah,
Who's.
yeah,
Is he really? He's not really Doctor Who though, is
yeah. Well, that feels like a bit of a cheat since it's a TV show. Um, I'm really sorry. This my
he? Well,
my processing time's so
no.
slow. I know I'm gonna kick myself when I'm not thought of something.
Well, you thought two. I mean,
Yeah,
you could have Doctor Who. It's not a there were two theatrically released films that weren't
yeah.
canon, but
I guess if you're going to allow it to me, I guess it as much as I adore E.T. and E.T.'s I would put money on everyone thinking of that first. Um, and how can you not love him? But in terms of relating to a character, I guess the Doctor is feeling out of place, and like you can't find your people, and then trying to find human connection with select few, and yeah, it's a very good demonstration of an alien experience, I guess,
yeah,
and one I connect to. So yeah,
yeah,
I'll say
I know what
that,
you
and
mean.
then tonight when I'm trying to sleep, I'm going to think of something else and be really, really pissed off about
Well, record it and then send it to me, and I'll sort of
it.
splice it in
Yeah, yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. Yeah, but it'll be really awkwardly spliced, like completely different sound levels.
Well, I mean, I'd go for the Predator
Yeah, yeah,
because I just love the look and the whole sort of mythos behind them, even if they did sort of trash it in some of the later films. That original Predator in the first film just looks incredible, and I just like the fact that it's there to hunt for trophies
yeah,
and just looks incredibly badass.
yeah. That's a great shout. I'm now Googling, you know,
Aliens.
but it's mostly just coming up with the actual Alien franchise,
Yeah.
which obviously it's Animal's great choice, and being that that's sort of the joke of my podcast concept, maybe I should have said that, but oh yeah, Superman's technically an alien. Marvin the
This is true.
Martian. Wish I'd
This is
said yes.
true.
Stitch. I'm literally holding a Stitch.
No.
Holding a Stitch toy. Stitch is a strong contender. Stitch. Contender. Yeah.
Do
And
you know
again,
what? I don't think I've ever seen Lilo and Stitch.
oh, it's lovely. And it's the same case as the Doctor Who thing, whereas in terms of,
Yeah.
he's the only one of his kind, and
Aren't they doing live action Lilo and Stitch?
they are. They are.
Mm.
Um,
I saw the trailer for the Snow White one the other day, and that looks terrible.
yeah, I have strong feelings about live action Disney that will come up later. But
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's call that the end of the intermission then, and we'll head
yeah,
back to the main episode.
okay.
Okay, so we jump in and back into episode 18, which was entitled Humble Pie, or films that we avoided for a long time but ended up loving. And on this episode, I talked about my choice of The Warriors from 1979, and Nicole talked about her choice of Chud from 1984.
I have seen The Warriors.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. I know. An obscure film that I've actually seen. Yeah, I saw it years ago, but I did love it.
well, good.
Would like to rewatch it. I actually own that one as well. So,
Ooh, cool.
um, but it was never one I avoided. And I've not seen Chud. Don't really know anything about that one. Um, my pick, technically I had seen before, but it was when I was about 11 or 12, so I may as well not have seen it because my brain wasn't formed properly. Didn't have a clue what I was talking about. But this was The Shining, and
Oh,
I rewatched it last week while I was ill, for the first time since I was 11. Um, and I knew I was going to fucking love it, and I
mm.
absolutely did. And yeah, I guess I hadn't been avoiding it because I didn't think I would. But when I watched it as a kid, I was like, that was dreadful. I didn't get it at all. And then, like, as I grew up, I was like, Yeah, I was talking absolute bullshit. That was wasted on me. And then it's just been a case of for me, like I love horror films, but I always see them as quite social films. So
Mm.
I always prefer to watch them with people. But unfortunately, my husband hates horror films, so
Oh,
I
right.
don't watch them very often. And the ones I do watch on my own, it has to be ones that I know are just really great pieces of cinema.
Hmm.
And obviously, I knew this one was, and um, yeah, it was. Oh, sorry, my dog's just stormed in.
That's all
Um,
right. Hello,
yeah.
dog.
Um, it's just gonna say hello, Peter. He doesn't talk like that.
Hello, Rita.
Oh, dear. Oh, that's got me. Yeah, so The Shining. Yeah, it was just absolutely sublime. Like,
Mm,
I'm obsessed and want to go and watch it again immediately.
mm.
It's just stunning filmmaking.
It is. I mean, it's
Um,
interesting you say that about sort of watching it when you're 11 and saying that, it was terrible and stuff like that. And I think, there's obviously watching it at a young age, there are bits in it that are very scary and effective,
mm,
but there's so much more as you grow up that you pick up on that film
yeah,
and take from it, and the sort of deep-seated sort of psychosis that's already in Jack before he even gets to the hotel, and
yeah. It was
you
interesting actually because I was like, as the film started, I was like, God, he's an arsehole. I always thought this
yeah,
was about like a nice guy who turns bad. I was like, no, it's
yeah,
just not.
no,
Bear with
he's
me. I'm just going to
terrible.
pick the dog up because she's just growling at the window.
Okay,
Yes.
hello.
I won't do the voice again. It's Kyrie. She
It's
likes
what? Sorry, Kylie,
Kyrie.
Kyrie.
Yes, it's from a video game called Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, you were saying.
I don't know what was I saying. Oh,
Um,
yeah. So,
yeah.
so yeah, it's just those moments, and it's like I remember I picked one the last time I watched it, where he's like, they're talking about cannibals, and she says, "Oh, don't talk about things like that in front of Danny." And he's like, well, "I've seen it on the television." He's like, "You see, he saw about it, watched about it on the TV,"
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
so creepy.
So creepy and just such an arsehole.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that as a
you know,
kid.
and you pick up on the this sort of, it's not really subtext because it's quite obvious, but it's maybe not overly obvious when you watch it at a young age. But the whole sort of the alcoholic and the
Mm,
those sort of tendencies that he has, and the abusive tendencies that are sort of suggested in some of the dialogue,
yeah,
and you just sort of see that this man was broken before he got there, and this
yeah,
hotel has just amplified that.
yeah, for sure. It was actually, when it, I could see just from the fact Shelley Duvall wasn't shocked when
Mm,
he, like, the first time he's abusive to her. She does, she's a bit, she's upset, but she's not like, if this was a completely new situation,
yeah,
something like, what's going on? Um, but yeah, she's obviously something she's used to. Um, which is why
absolutely.
Matthew and I were talking about it because obviously it's his favorite film. And it's like,
Hmm.
I've watched it. Um, but yeah, I was saying I loved that she got herself out in the end because
Yeah,
that felt really important
yeah,
from the abusive
because it
relationship.
definitely that whole of the feel of that film feels like it's going to have a downbeat ending as
Mm,
well. I mean, not
yeah,
that obviously the cook dies quite horrifically, but it's
yeah,
still quite
yeah,
a happy ending
yeah.
in a sense.
And it was mad. I mean, it's the mark of a good film. I
Mm,
knew they escaped at the end, and I was still in that maze scene. I was like
mm.
sweating, had the blanket up to my face, like, white knuckles, so tense.
Have you seen Doctor Sleep?
I haven't.
Oh, you're in for a treat. You're in for a
Okay,
treat.
okay,
You need to watch that now.
all right.
That's about what the sixth film I've told you to put on your watch list now. But if you enjoyed The Shining that much, I was massively, massively surprised how good Doctor Sleep was.
Okay,
It's brilliant, really good,
excellent. Look
but
forward to it.
probably even more horrific than The Shining in places.
Wow.
And I'll say no more. So episode 21 was next with the best movie about addiction. Vanessa joined me to talk about her choice of Requiem for a Dream from 2000 and my choice of Trainspotting from 1996.
I've not seen Requiem for a Dream.
Hmm.
I have seen Trainspotting again many years ago. I had this my favorite teacher at school, this film studies teacher, and my form tutor. He used to show us films in form class. It was 15 minutes a day, so we'd just see like snippets of
All
films
right,
in
cool.
segments, and I'm pretty sure this was one of them. Um, but yeah, I think Trainspotting is probably the correct choice because it's fantastic and does what it explores about addiction is incredible. But one I brought to talk about is A Good Person. It came out, I think it was last year. I think it was
All
last
right,
year.
okay.
It's
Is that the one with Florence Pugh and
Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman, yeah,
yeah, I've not
directed
seen that
by
yet.
Zach Braff.
I've heard a lot about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, it just um I won't go into it too much, but it was quite a triggering watch for me. There was a lot of stuff that was very personal to me, but um it's just a really beautiful film.
Mm.
It had me, bawling my eyes out and laughing and I think any film that has Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman in to start with,
Yeah.
like, just both next level actors. Like you could watch them in a dog shit film and you'd still walk away pleased, wouldn't you? Because they're just
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous to watch.
Yeah, I mean that's some serious sort of pedigree there, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just the
yeah,
two. I
and
mean that's why I haven't watched it. I don't know. I mean, I know it was on my radar when it not long after it came out, but thank you for reminding me about that because I do need to watch it.
yay, the tables have turned. Um, add to your list. Um, yeah, no, it's very beautiful. It's very raw and honest, and it's not an easy watch, but it resonated with me a lot, and the performances are just, yeah, out of this world. The two of them together is great, and yeah, it's one even though it is very hard to watch, I would want to go back and watch it
Okay, cool.
a few more times for sure.
Fantastic. I should check that one out. Okay, so where are we? So episode 25 was next, and our random subject selector kicked out best 80s comedy. And I was joined by Vanessa to talk about her choice of Heathers from 1988. And I went with Airplane from 1980.
I've seen Airplane. It was nice to know. Haven't seen Heathers. I think there were some incredible comedies to come out of the 80s, Airplane
Mm.
being one of them for sure. Like definitely one of the, one of the go-tos. Can't argue with that. Uh, Um, but for me, and I can see, I know you'll be used to me giving more than one answer at this stage in the recording, but um, I was torn between two of my favorite films of all time, Princess Bride, as mentioned
Excellent.
earlier, and When Harry Met Sally,
Wow,
which
okay.
is probably my favorite film of all time. Um, both Rob Reiner,
Hmm.
um, both have Billy Crystal.
Yeah,
Um,
true. Yeah, yeah.
enough for both of them, really.
Only one of them had Andre the Giant,
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think, obviously very different films. When Harry Met Sally, I couldn't neglect talking about because it's my favorite, but also I come across a lot of people who dismiss rom-com as a genre and, don't necessarily count it in good cinema,
though.
because they might think it's girly or stupid or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. or cheesy, I guess. But
I don't know. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, but I
yeah,
can recognise that and I think that's just more personal taste, I suppose. I don't think
yeah,
it's.
yeah,
I wouldn't rule anything out. I think sometimes you can spot something that's more than just a rom-com.
yeah,
And I think
yeah. I
when Harry Met Sally is one of those films that
it's the Bible of the genre for me. I
yeah.
think it's yeah. I mean, and there were great ones to come before it, of course, but
Mm.
it's like obviously the romance part of it is great, but the script is just so funny. It's one of those films that I rewind bits, like certain scenes and moments, and just rewind over and over again just to see the way a line's delivered, and it's like I can see the script running next to it, and just how sharp it is, and it's just absolutely gorgeous writing, so quotable. Like obviously you got the famous "I'll have what she's having," but there's which is a great scene. But I yeah, there's so many great quotes. My favorite being infidelity isn't what causes a marriage to break down. It's just a symptom that something else is wrong. Oh, really? Well, that symptom is fucking my wife. um, just just really gorgeous
Yeah.
writing. Carrie Fisher's a really standout performance in it as well.
Mm.
She's again just the delivery of her lines and her mannerisms are so funny.
Yeah.
Um, it's lovely to see her when she's being comedic, and obviously she was just so good at that.
Yeah.
Um, and Billy Crystal, obviously, just you could watch him all day, and knowing how much he ad-libbed as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it makes me laugh out loud every time, but it also just brings me so much joy, which I think a comedy should do.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and obviously Princess Bride, I mean,
Princess,
just out of this world.
what a film.
So good. Just again, so quotable, incredible script,
Mm.
some of the funniest dialogue and interactions I've ever come across, and just really brilliant characters. But yeah, like just very witty writing as well. Very like
Mm.
reminds me of Python, I guess, tonally.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah, but yeah, what a film.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
a film. I showed it to my daughter not long back and she didn't
yeah.
get it. She didn't
Oh
get it, unfortunately.
no.
But I'll try again in a few years. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah, yeah,
just love
yeah.
it. I mean that part, the sort of the showdown with Indigo Montoya and
Yeah.
I forget the character's name now, but that is just epic. And actually saw a video quite recently. It was somebody had sent
Right.
a video to Mandy Patinkin, I think his name, that's
Yeah.
how you say it,
Jenkins. Yeah.
um, about how much that scene meant to her because she'd lost her father or mother to cancer,
Oh wow.
and he'd said in interviews about when he was acting that scene, he was thinking about his father who had died of cancer, and that's how he got the passion in that scene of "I want my father back, you son of a bitch."
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was saying how she related to that, and he'd sort of sent this message back. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you, but because
Yeah.
it was incredibly heartwarming, and he was crying his eyes out, bless him.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's lovely.
there is there's so much sort of love and passion in that film. I think it's
Yeah, so
just
much heart in it. So much heart
yeah,
in it.
and
Carrie Elwes's book on the making of it was, and a bit about his biography as well, or autobiography. It's well worth reading.
right,
I
I do
would
like a
strongly
bit of
recommend
Carrie
that. And
Elwes.
he's got some fun stories about Andre as well. Um,
Yes, there's a few. There was a few because there was a documentary called Andre the Giant released a couple of 2 or 3 years ago, and there was a section on the Princess Bride and
mm.
talking about how he farted for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And Rob Reiner asked, "Are you all right, Andre?" And he said, "I am now, boss," and carried on.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was one where he got so drunk that he like passed out and no one could lift him.
Yeah,
He's too fucking
yeah,
heavy, so they just had to like cordon him off.
yeah. It's just
Um,
it's
yeah.
another thing one to add to your watch list, the Andre the Giant documentary.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I
But
think if
no,
I remember right, it's on. Is it on? No, I don't, it might not be on. There's a documentary on Disney Plus. It might be the Ric Flair one, though, not the Andre the Giant
okay.
one. But if you
Yeah.
can find it, it's great.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Uh,
yeah, beautiful
anyway,
film.
we're segueing again. Let's not get down the wrestling path. Where are we? So episode 26, which was best mindfuck movie. So my choice of Eraserhead from 1977 and Nicole's choice of Triangle from 2009.
Gonna talk about more than one again. I'm so sorry. I'll try to keep it brief. The first one that came to mind, like having Googled mindfuck movies to make sure I was, on the right track, was Donnie Darko, which I used to absolutely
Yes.
love as a kid and would watch over and over and over again. And I, to this day, have no idea what the fuck's going on in that movie. And I don't think I'll ever understand it, and I'm not sure I necessarily want to or need to. And it always left me feeling quite strange and
It's,
um,
do you know what? It's
lonely. And
talking about watch lists. This is sort of, it's been sat on my rewatch list for a
mm,
long time because I haven't seen it since it came out, but
yeah,
I feel like I need to watch it again.
yeah. I think I'm a bit fearful that I'll be like, oh no, this is terrible. But
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it was
yeah.
very popular at the time as well. Or
Mm,
like, felt very, very much something that everyone talked about, and particularly with that Mad World
mm,
edition, it was yeah,
yeah,
it it's definitely, there's a lot of nostalgia from me for it, but I I'd be interested to see if it holds up. But
yeah.
yeah, it definitely always messed with my head. Um, and then I just also really wanted to touch on Parasite from a few years ago, which I was
Yeah.
very late to it. I only watched that last year, I think.
Hmm.
Might even have been this year. I'm a bit time blind, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like a mindfuck movie in the sense I didn't understand what's going on, but
Mm.
it made my brain feel, and this is the word I use, it made my brain feel so squiggly, like just so uncomfortable and yeah, like just so fucked up. But
Yeah.
again, incredible film. I haven't really stopped thinking about it since. Um, One of the most gorgeous pieces of cinema I've seen, but really, really messed with my head.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those films that just completely changes genre about
Mm.
two-thirds of the way through, and you're like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. And I mean, that when they first go down to the basement and the
Mm.
camera following, I just like I can still feel the sickening pit in my stomach, and like that. So that bit was just horrendous, but also this shot when the sewers are flooding and the toilets like
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
there, just yeah, again, brain altering stuff.
yeah,
But,
yeah. It's another one. It sort of it makes you feel tense for completely different reasons than you've probably
mm,
felt tense in other films, if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
for sure.
It just feels so you feel so drawn into the whole story and their lives and their struggles and how they're sort of trying to get out of that. It's just
Yeah,
incredible film. Absolutely incredible film.
yeah.
And it looks even more gorgeous in black and white. If you get a chance to see
Oh,
the black and
okay.
white version, it
I'll have to do
just
that.
adds just that little something different to it.
Yeah.
I think it was on somewhere. It might be Prime, but it may have come off. You never know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good choice. Good choices. So episode 31, our last subject for you, it was the most overrated Disney film with Vanessa's choice of Mary Poppins. I've got Mark Poppins. Did I email that to you? I bet you didn't pick up on
The
that, did you?
less successful sequel,
Yeah, the less successful, sorry,
Mary's
the
brother.
prequel. Yeah. So yeah, Vanessa's choice of Mary Poppins from 1954, and my choice of The Lion King from 1994. Are we going to have a double header here? Have you seen both of these?
Peter, I love your podcast and I've listened to a lot of episodes. I think nearly all of them now. This one I cannot listen to because I love both of these films so much. I can't cope. I
Oh,
have
well.
acknowledged before on my own podcast it is a character flaw that I cannot listen to criticism of things I love this deeply. It's not a
Well,
character flaw I'm willing
well,
to address.
allow me to say in the most politest way possible, this is obviously a fuck you for picking Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh man. Yeah. Calm as a bitch. Yeah, I like as
No.
as
Okay.
I said, 90s Baby, Lion King, and Hercules were always my favorite films growing up. Loved them so much. Mary Poppins actually hurt even more for me on this pick because um Mary Poppins is one of the films that we always had on when I was growing up that I strongly connect to my mum, and
Right.
it's a very deep rooted like personal love that I um you know
Yeah. Well, you've clawed that back and made me feel bad now.
don't feel bad. I just like it's I've heard other people say it before. I love them too much to willingly like hear them criticized, particularly because as well um I I'm always open to hearing people's opinions, and I can like I can't like unhear them. So if
Mhm.
there will be things in there that I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's fair enough, but I don't want to know.
Right, fair
Ignorance is
enough.
bliss. Um.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah, neither of those, but I
Well,
have
just
seen
listen to
both
the
of
first
them.
listen to
So
the first 60 seconds and then that counts as a listen.
yeah, yeah. Um. All right. But,
But what would
yeah.
you say?
Um. So this again really tough because I love Disney films generally. That I think I alluded to earlier. The live actions I have very strong feelings against, but I'm not sure they're necessarily rated, let alone overrated by
Yeah,
most
yeah.
people. So I don't know that they necessarily count. I think in the end I landed on Frozen, even though I really love it, genuinely loved it at the time, love it now, but it got so big. It's
Yeah.
just got so out of control that I will always love it a little bit less
Mm.
because of how much Let It Go was fucking played everywhere for years. And I think I was a bit surprised um about how much that took off compared to Tangled, because I think Tangled is the better film by far, and I really, really love Tangled. So
Yeah, I know a lot of
yeah,
people that love Tangled. Even my dad likes Tangled,
yeah, yeah,
and he's, 70 odd.
yeah. But I think this was the point where, I mean, there's lots of interesting sort of studies around it, but this was the point where Disney villains became internal rather than external, which I think was a
Mm.
really interesting shift. And I
Yeah,
quite like
absolutely,
that.
absolutely. Well,
Um,
I always sort of applauded that they went down this route of the sort of, the true love doesn't have to be
yeah, yeah,
somebody you want
romantic.
to marry and romance
Yeah,
and all that sort of thing. I thought that was a very clever angle, and it still managed to have all those beats that you want
yeah.
from, and the fact that the script started off with uh oh, I've forgotten the character's name, Anna and
Elsa.
Elsa. That's it.
Yeah,
The fact that Elsa was the script started with Elsa as the villain of the
yeah,
film,
yeah, 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 for sure.
um, and how they've sort of how they flipped that round was it's just really fascinating to me.
It is.
And
And
I
I
still laugh every time the Duke of Weaseltown
yeah,
does his little
Western.
dance. Weston. Yeah.
Yeah, this is why it's really hard pick, because I don't feel right really even saying that, because I love it so much, and
Mm,
as you'll have heard from on my podcast, I've got a sister that I'm incredibly close to.
yeah.
So this makes me cry every time, because I would kill for her for sure, let alone
What that film doesn't
die
need
for her.
is Olaf.
No, and I think again that's something where actually, first few times very charming, quite
Hmm.
funny. Now because of the level it's reached, kind of annoying. Um,
Very much,
yeah.
very much.
Um, and
And I like the
Yeah.
song Fixer Upper. That's a good song.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of good songs in there. I mean, I've got
Yeah.
sort of early nostalgia for this now because my daughter loves it and we duet.
Yeah.
And if Loving as an Open Door comes on the
Yeah.
on the playlist or whatever, then we duet
Finish
it.
each other's sandwiches is a great life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's
absolutely
it's
incredible.
very hard to say anything against it. It's only because of the heights it reached, and I guess the sequels since, just which are unnecessary. Well,
Mm.
second one I thought was unnecessary, and they've announced the third one now.
Oh,
But you know, fair enough. They want to make money.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. It's Disney. They're just gonna put it out,
Yeah.
aren't they? They're
Yeah.
ruthless
Another Star
bastards.
Wars, another Frozen.
Excellent. Well, that brings us to the end of the list here.
Yeah, I
Listen,
made it.
thank you so much for taking part. That was some really fascinating choices in there. Some that have the first time coming up on the podcast. So well done.
Thank you. And I hope our friendship hasn't taken too much of a hit.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine. I think we sort of evened it out a little bit with across the course of the episode. So I'm sure we should be good. You'd be welcome to come again
Thank you. That's a lot of fun.
at some point in the future. So yeah, do you want to just take a moment just to remind people about how they can maybe get hold of you and where they can find your podcast and all that jazz?
hmm So you can find the podcast on most streaming platforms. So it's called The Alien Effect, and you can find it on Instagram as well at The Alien Effect Pod and on X or Twitter. And then you can email me at thealieneffectpod@gmail.com as well.
Fantastic. I need to find you on X and add you on that.
Yeah, I think I started following you on there, but I don't know how much I'll use it realistically, because I'd forgotten what a cesspool it is.
Yes, you just got to make sure that you're being very selective and
Yes.
not following anybody that's got any kind of far right trolly or
Yeah.
just absolute knobhead tendencies, really.
Yeah,
And you
good
should
rule
be
for
fine.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Although I seem to be getting a lot of strangely hot women following me
Oh
now
yeah, I
on
get a lot of those. There was a real wave of those on Tumblr, which is, became quite a running joke. Like, seems legit.
yeah, or some people offering to promote my podcast in very broken English.
Ah, yes. I
Um,
always love that. You get those emails and then you look at
mm,
the email address.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we'll be avoiding them. I haven't
Yeah.
followed them back anyway, but it adds to my follow, so yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
swings and roundabouts. So please check out the Alien Effect on all your podcast platforms. I'll drop some links into the show notes for this episode as well, so you'll be able to find the Alien Effect and Tia over there. And just leaves me to say goodbye, and for Tia to say.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.